Now at 9, parts of the 4 states today celebrate Juneteenth. We'll visit Parsons, Kansas to see how. Plus, storms battered the 4 states over the weekend. We'll check out some of the damage in Grove, Oklahoma. And a Southwest Missouri expert offers tips on how to protect our homes in stormy weather.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
4 staters rally to support one another as the nation celebrates Juneteenth, marking the day all Americans became aware that slavery had ended. Thank you for joining us for KOAM News at 9. I'm Dow Quick. A community in Parsons, Kansas rallied together today to walk and demonstrate unity. For the celebration organizer, Santana Johnson, the unity shown today is an integral part of bringing awareness and action to issues that still face people every day.
I am all about, I love people. I don't care where you come from. I don't care about your background. It's not about that. It's about us coming together, making things happen for all of us, and moving forward.
We're going to hear more from Santana Johnson and check out the march a little bit later in the show. Right now, though, another warm night out there. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane.
All right, thank you very much, Dow. It's pretty toasty out there today with temperatures in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. Radar is all clear. And over the last 36 hours, yesterday we topped out into the 80s, and then today you added about 10 degrees to that, into the 90s. And as we look at the forecast for tonight, we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 70s to around 65 degrees by tomorrow morning. And looking down the lane, we do have some more sunny and hot weather on the way, and that means the drought is going to continue as well. And then we have some weekend storm chances, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about what we can expect for the summer, and I'll have all the details on that coming up in just a little bit. Dow?
See you soon. Grove, Oklahoma is cleaning up from weekend storm damage. This is just south of Grove near Sailboat Bridge and Grand Lake Baptist Church. The National Weather Service issued a tornado warning there late Saturday night, but there were no reports of any tornadoes touching down. However, the strong winds brought down lots of trees and power lines. Hundreds of residents were without power for much of the day, with some still reporting outages. The Northeast Oklahoma Electric Cooperative says efforts to fully restore power could extend well into the week. More than 144,000 people across Tulsa County, Oklahoma today woke up without power after that devastating weekend storm left a lot of damage there. According to the Public Service Company of Oklahoma, this has been its largest response since the 2007 ice storm. That storm brought down trees and power lines all across the city. Utility company officials say it'll likely take several days before service is restored everywhere. Officials say crews from as far away as New Jersey and Delaware are coming to Tulsa to help with recovery. While none of us can prevent severe weather, we can take steps to not only protect our family, but to protect our homes from the wind and the hail damage. Reporter Joe Hickman is in Springfield, Missouri, and talked with an expert on what to consider.
When we're looking at protecting your home from things like wind and hail, a lot of those materials are also going to be the things that help you with energy efficiency. So you want to talk to whatever contractor that you're using about things like windows, your doors, your garage doors, your roof, your gutters, things like that.
But when it comes to your structure surviving a major high wind event, your windows and roof are the key areas to consider upgrading.
Because those are the areas that are going to impact the rest of your house. Those windows, if they're really low grade, that gives access to wind. A lot of times it also gives access to water. Same thing on your roof. If you're missing shingles or if you have like major problems with your roof, you're introducing water into your home there also. What you really want to think about is the type of shingle that you have for one. Different shingles are going to be able to withstand different types of wind and different types of hail. You may not need to go all the way to the most expensive, but make sure that you're looking at that storm grade, because the higher the rating on that, the more likely it's going to be okay the next time you get hit by a storm. Another option that we have in this area is metal for roofing. That's really going to withstand any of the storms. Some insurance companies actually offer discounts if you upgrade to that metal side.
Looking at wind-rated garage doors can also help, since high winds can push through them and cause structural damage to the entire home. And you also should trim trees that might be a danger during high winds.
Is it close to your utilities that are behind you? Where's it going to fall? Is it going to land on your home?
When it comes to hail protection, using steel gutters and downspouts instead of aluminum or vinyl is preferable. And it's also a good idea to install protective screens around your home's air conditioning unit.
Honestly, it also helps from the theft side. If you're protecting your assets there, then somebody can't steal it, which then sometimes ends up replacing a whole unit.
And if your house is damaged during a major weather event, make sure you're careful when getting bids and hiring contractors.
It is important to be aware that there are companies that will travel in only because there was a storm. So if you are going to hire somebody that knocked on your door, you need to do your research. Make sure that you're talking to somebody that's going to be there for you if something happens.
The Kansas Bureau of Investigation today provided an update on that white powder found in letters sent to Kansas legislators and public officials. They say as of yesterday, around 100 letters containing the suspicious white powder have been received all across the state. Friday, the known number was just over 30. A small sample of letters with powder was sent to a specialized laboratory for testing biological samples. Preliminary test results suggest the substance is not likely to be common biological agents of concern. Police say they've identified the teen killed and that a juvenile suspect is in custody after an overnight shooting in downtown St. Louis Sunday morning. That shooting left 11 juveniles injured and one dead. Reporter Alexis Zotos has the latest on the tragedy, and we want to warn you, some of the images might be disturbing.
We have multiple victims on the 5th floor.
10 teenagers were shot. One died after a party inside this office building on Washington Avenue and 14th Street in downtown St. Louis, just after 1 a.m. Sunday morning. In the daylight, the damage and chaos is more clear.
It was absolutely horrible. I see glass everywhere, blood, medical supplies from the ambulance. It's a disaster.
This woman, who didn't want to go on camera, runs a tutoring company on the 5th floor. She took us inside after clearing out her space.
I asked about getting it boarded up or when would it be replaced. They told me they have to find somebody.
Shattered glass is everywhere in what she says is a common area space. Bullet holes and evidence markers from police dot the walls, and a bloody handprint paints the picture of teenagers trying to escape gunfire.
Multiple firearms were recovered at the scene, including AR-style rifle pistols as well as a handgun, which was found in the possession of a person of interest who's a juvenile.
Surveillance video shared with News 4 shows teens running from the back of the building. One can be seen carrying a gun. Police are working with witnesses and victims to determine who was responsible for this party.
We do know this party was pre-planned. They did not give the address out. You had to direct message the organizer.
The doors require key cards, but one was propped open with a rope.
I've been here for about 6 years.
Has anything like this ever happened?
We've had minor incidents before, but nothing like this. This is outrageous.
The shooting victims range in ages from 15 to 19 years old. Additionally, a 17-year-old was seriously injured when trampled trying to escape. Mayor Tashara Jones expressed outrage and asked parents to help keep teens safe.
I need families to hear me loud and clear. Downtown is not a 1 a.m. destination for your 15-year-old. It's a rule I make very clear in my own household. And it's not a place to drop children off unsupervised.
Authorities identified 17-year-old Mikhail Moore as the person killed in that shooting. No word yet on the current conditions of the 11 other victims. Up next, out with the new, in with the old.
It may be 2023, but a 90s trend is back. I'm Mather Avera in Washington, and I'll look at how some consumers are flipping back to flip phones. Coming up.
What's old is new again. Gen Zers and even some celebs are moving to more old school flip phones to disconnect. Some big brands are even cashing in and making more vintage looking phones to harness the nostalgia. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has the latest on the newest fascination.
Unplugging nowadays seems nearly impossible with the ability to call, text, and browse the internet from the palm of your hand. But as some people call for simpler times, they're flipping back to a former trend and snapping up a flip phone.
My teenagers, definitely. They're definitely getting it. They're getting a simpler phone.
It would actually be really peaceful, so I'd probably love it.
Yeah. Gen Zers are leading the comeback as stats show more teens are spending less time with each other.
There was this interesting study out of the University of Michigan looking at 50,000 young people and found that about 2/3 of them are avoiding their friends.
And phones, some tech experts say, may be in large part to blame. same.
Smartphones, they do a lot of things, but they take away a lot of attention. We've seen what it's done with kids. We've seen what it does with adults.
I mean, real conversations don't really happen anymore.
However, others say they're not ready to trade up efficiency for simplicity.
I personally like to have my iPhone. I like having like a miniature laptop in my hand.
Still, not every foldable phone is reminiscent of the 90s or the early 2000s. Some, like Samsung's Galaxy Z flip phones, are smartphones, and they're seeing a boost in sales.
In 2022, it was our best sales year that we've had yet on the flip and fold category.
The market for foldable phones is expected to grow. The International Data Corporation estimates this year's sales could double from last year. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast, and we're going to tell you about another wave of storms for the southern U.S.
Another round of severe storms threatens the south, while a heat wave impacts millions of Americans. I'm Katie Byrne in Philadelphia. I'll have that story coming up.
All right, we had beautiful skies today with lots of warm temperatures out there. Let's take a look out right side right now at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see mostly fair skies, and those fair skies are going to continue all night long. And as we head into the morning hours, we're going to see mild temperatures generally in the mid 60s across the area. And then in the afternoon, it's going to get up close to 90 degrees once again in the afternoon. All right, let's take a look at the high today. We made it up to 90 degrees in Joplin, starting out in the 60s, and so we were above normal on the high. Of course, we weren't anywhere near that record of 101. For the rainfall for the month, we're about 1/4 of an inch below normal, but for the year, we're about 6.5 inches below still. And I wish we had better news as far as making up that, but this week it looks like it's going to be pretty dry. In fact, right now, it's dry across the entire four-state area, nothing really going on with radar. Temperatures are very pleasant, though, generally in the 70s across the area, 79 in Joplin, 78 in Pittsburgh, and in Fort Scott. Still in the 80s, though, out towards the west, where it's 81 in Welch and 81 for our friends in Veneta. And when you factor in the dew point and the humidity, it feels right around the temperature. So it's not really all that bad just yet as far as the heat index goes, but that's going to be changing, of course, as we head through the rest of the week. Rain chances are going to be low for the next 36 hours, almost zero across the area. Might see an isolated storm or two, but that's very few and far between. Temperatures tonight are going to drop down into the 60s with southeasterly winds. Then as we head through the day tomorrow, we're going to see highs right again, once around 90 degrees, especially out towards the west where they could make it into the lower 90s. Then we'll start to see a little bit more in the way of cloudiness as we go into Wednesday morning with lows in the 60s and 70s. The storms are going to mainly stay out towards the west on Wednesday. In the afternoon, partly cloudy skies with highs in the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees once again. Then as we go into Thursday morning, mostly fair with a few clouds around and lows in the 60s. Now this week, we're going to be under the influence of a ridge of high pressure. And on Tuesday, you can see the axis going all the way from Lake Superior all the way down to the Red River and down into the Rio Grande area. There is a low pressure center off the east coast. That's going to try to move backwards into our area, so we may get a little bit cooler for your Thursday. But as we go through the rest of the week, that's going to be pulling out. The ridge comes back in, but then it moves towards the west, and we get into a northwest flow pattern, which will allow showers and thunderstorms to begin increasing across our area, especially late at night and in the early morning hours. That's what we call a northwest flow event. Rainfall amounts are not going to be all that impressive. In fact, we're looking at maybe less than 1/10 of an inch in some of these scattered showers and storms over the next week. But the good news is for the summer, the outlook right now looks like it's going to be wetter than normal for the Central Plains. And hopefully that will verify and help break the drought just a little bit, or at least catch us up. And then temperatures are going to be slightly above normal for your summertime. So that's the way it's looking right now. But it's going to be hot all week long with temperatures right around 90 degrees with the slight chance of showers and storms on Saturday and Sunday, Dow. And then on Monday, 93, and then more storms possible on Wednesday and Thursday. But of course, Wednesday marks the first day of summer officially, and we're certainly going to see it with temperatures like that.
Yeah, just a point on the calendar. I know it's more than
Right.
it's more than that. It'll be the longest day of the year as well.
Absolutely.
But boy, it's been feeling like summer for a while.
Right on.
Thanks. More storms are threatening millions of Americans across the South. The threat comes as the region continues to deal with these scorching temperatures. Fox Weather's Katie Byrne has more.
It gets 110, 120 degrees sometimes, and it's especially hot out on the road.
Record-breaking heat is smothering much of the South this week. In Texas, forecasters say the heat index could reach 122 degrees at times. State and local officials are urging residents to limit their time outdoors and drink plenty of water.
If you start experiencing muscle cramps when you're outside, if you start profusely sweating, that is a time to get out of the heat into a cooler environment and begin rehydrating as quickly as possible.
Monday morning, some 465,000 customers were battling that heat without power as severe storms continue to pummel the region. Large hail, tornadoes, and gusty winds threatening millions of Americans. In Mississippi, the system snapped tree limbs and spawned a reported tornado in the town of Lewin, killing at least one person and injuring nearly 24 others.
I heard it come through like a god-awful noise.
While in Oklahoma, crews raced to restore power after damaging winds toppled trees and power lines.
We've just found out we have a leak in one of the rooms, so there is some roof damage, and of course, can't fix it until we get those tree limbs out the way.
The severe weather also hampering cleanup efforts in Perryton, Texas, days after a tornado tore through the town.
We could see like the actual tornado just right there beside our house. We got the house over. And yeah, we barely beat it in time.
Here in the Northeast, forecasters say to expect rain and thunderstorms later this week. In Philadelphia, Katie Byrne, Fox Weather.
Coming up, the search for a missing submarine.
An urgent search and rescue mission now underway in the North Atlantic after a submersible set to explore the wreckage of the Titanic disappears. I'm Eric Shawn in New York. We'll have details coming up.
An urgent search and rescue operation is underway by air and by sea to try to find a tourist submersible in a remote area of the North Atlantic. Went missing yesterday off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada, while exploring the wreck of the Titanic. Fox News senior correspondent Eric Shawn has the latest.
We're doing everything that we can do to locate the submersible.
It is a desperate race against time for the U.S. Coast Guard, coordinating an active search and rescue mission to help find a missing tourist submersible near the wreckage of the Titanic. The sub left for a dive on Sunday morning, losing contact with a research ship on the surface called the Polar Prince after 1 hour and 45 minutes. One pilot and 4 mission specialists are on board.
It is a remote area. And it is a challenge to conduct a search in that remote area.
The sub disappeared in the open ocean at a depth of roughly 13,000 feet, about 900 miles east of Cape Cod. Made of carbon fiber and titanium, about the size of a minivan, the sub is designed to hold 96 hours of air on board.
And so we're using that time, making the best use of every moment of that time to locate the vessel.
A private company called OceanGate operates the sub, charging customers about $250,000 a person to travel and view the site of the Titanic, the iconic ocean liner that sank in 1912. Experts say if a problem did happen underwater, the sub is designed in such a way that it will automatically float to the surface.
Its first problem is probably that it's somewhere attached to a fishing net, some debris. It may have simply gotten caught.
The Coast Guard is using C-130 aircraft and sonar equipment to help search beneath the ocean surface. In New York, Eric Shawn, Fox News.
Summer just became a lot cheaper. Now you can score cheaper movie tickets for you and your family. Next. If you're looking for inexpensive, family-friendly entertainment this summer, movie theater chain Cinemark has you covered. The company is bringing back its Summer Movie Clubhouse promotion, which offers families tickets to certain films for $1.50, plus taxes and fees. It starts this week with participating theaters in 35 states running the promotion every Wednesday, starting at 9:30 a.m. local time. The deal runs through the week of August 10th. The movies are animated features, including Minions: The Rise of Gru. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Still ahead, celebrating a holiday in Parsons.
A community in Parsons, Kansas is celebrating Juneteenth. I'm Anthony Saviello with the story.
And how people in Joplin also celebrated Juneteenth. Thanks for joining us for this second half hour. I'm Dow Quick. The Juneteenth organization in Parsons, Kansas held their annual celebration to mark the holiday. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has that story.
Juneteenth is the annual celebration of the end of slavery in the United States. But for Santana Johnson, this day is about much more.
I just believe that if we can't have a community if there's no unity in it. So I just feel like it's very important that we come together and connect and make things work for the best of all of us. It's not just about black community, it's about all the community.
The event started here on 22nd Street and Grand. Organizers joined together and marched down to Glenwood Park, a demonstration of strength and unity. It's something that Amanda Phoenix is hoping to teach her daughter not to be afraid of.
I remember being her age and this stuff not being taught in our schools. And I remember that. Looking back, I remember that. So I want her to know, and I want all the kids her age, all the kids younger than her, all the kids older than her, I want them all to know the history behind Juneteenth and how important it is. So that way, when we build towards our future, we are coming together as a community.
Santana organized this year's celebration of Juneteenth alongside Amanda and partnered with organizations such as Moms Demand Action. But her biggest partner wasn't an organization. It was the people who rallied together, people like veteran Calvert Green.
Minorities have came to the call of this country every conflict, from the Civil War all the way to the wars we fight today, but yet get very little credit. But when we come together today, we're recognizing them, what they have done for serving this country.
A hero standing up for other heroes and making sure that all are celebrated. So, the big takeaway, Juneteenth isn't just for certain people. It's for everyone and every community. Reporting in Parsons, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The Juneteenth organization in Parsons invites all who are willing to be part of next year's celebration. The Juneteenth celebration also took place in Joplin's Ewart Park. The Easttown Roots Picnic included food, music, and a whole lot of other fun events. Barbecue truck was also there, but it was more to eat than just barbecue. There was plenty of soul food.
So soul food is, I guess, something that's been going on for generations. So that's one of the ways that we come together and show love for each other and love for our family, you know, just really cooking and then celebrating with the meal. And I think that can be cross cultures, right? Because I think everyone has a little bit of soul food, and maybe it's a little bit of different, but everyone has soul food.
Set Ranch organized that event. One of the four states' most prominent figures, George Washington Carver, is also one of Juneteenth's most inspirational. Born into slavery in 1864, George Washington Carver went on to become one of the most celebrated American scientists.
Very beginnings, when he left here, I'm sure it was a lot of struggles for him, but he never gave up. And so it's a really, really inspirational story for anyone to see that this kid that was born here, and he never gave up.
The George Washington Carver National Monument, of course, is in Diamond, Missouri. Longtime national retailer Burlington Coat Factory is prepping to open a store in Joplin. Sources tell KOAM the location will appear later this year at the former Bed Bath & Beyond at 409 Geneva Avenue. According to their website, they offer an extensive selection of in-season, fashion-focused merchandise at a cheaper price than other retailers. President Biden is in Palo Alto, California to tour coastal wetlands and tout his administration's investment in climate commitments. This week, the Biden administration is launching a $575 million climate resistance regional challenge. It's aimed at helping communities become better able to withstand extreme weather and other impacts of climate change. A little later, how the city of Branson, Missouri is tackling an uptick of travelers despite a shortage in hotel staff.
Well, it was a little bit of a scorcher out there today with temperatures in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees, and it looks like we're going to be on a broken record pattern for this week. Let's take a look outside right now at Seneca, Missouri, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. A beautiful sunset out there, beautiful crescent moon. Get out there and get a chance to enjoy that. We're going to see mostly fair skies through most of tonight. We made it up to 90 in Joplin today, starting out at 62, which was below normal, but we ended up above normal on the high, so it all kind of evened out. 101, the record's back in 53, and 49, wouldn't that feel nice, back in 1976. But for the rainfall for the year, though, we're still about 6.5 inches below normal, and that's not counting the drought situation from last year. So we're way behind on rainfall, and unfortunately there's none to be found, including tonight across the area. Very dry, radar is clear. Temperatures are pretty pleasant in some areas, 77 in Monette, same thing in Nevada, Fort Scott, pick out your hometown, already down to 74 up the road there in Iola, still 81 though in Independence right now. Rain chances over the next 36 hours are going to be pretty close to zero, or a big old goose egg. There might be an isolated storm or two, but not really a whole lot to be found, as we're going to be under the ridge of high pressure for quite some time. Instead, we're going to see mostly fair skies tonight, with temperatures dropping down into the mid 60s, like Lamar with 66, same thing in Fort Scott, 68 in Iola, 68 over there in Coffeyville by about 6 o'clock in the morning. Then tomorrow, we're going to basically be a duplicate of today, with temperatures in the upper 80s, especially up to the north and east, like in Osceola with 89, 89 in Nevada, and then lower 90s out to the west, like in Parsons, Fredonia, and Eureka, all with about 90 and 92 down in Nowata. Then as we go through the overnight hours into Wednesday morning, we'll see the winds change around a little bit, as we're going to be under the influence of a low pressure in the upper levels, moving a little bit closer to us. So we'll see readings in the 60s to the east, 70s out towards the west, and the storms on the radar are going to be way out to the west, might hit Sedan with a shower or two, but don't hold your breath. And then Wednesday afternoon, temperatures again in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees, a little bit cooler off to the east with mid 80s off to the east. Then on Thursday morning, partly cloudy skies with highs in the mid 60s across the area. And all of this is because of this ridge of high pressure that is basically setting up shop across the central United States, a trough on the east and a trough out to the west, and we're in between. And this trough is going to try its best to move back towards the west, giving us a little bit of a break in the heat, but then it's going to rapidly pull off towards the north and east, and the ridge comes back in, and then we go into a northwest flow pattern. And the northwest flow pattern allows pieces of energy to come across in the upper levels, and then as we go into the overnight and early morning hours, we get a storm complex developing to the north and west, and then it rolls across our area. So that's when we're going to see the rain chances increase, especially as we head towards the weekend. But until then, it's going to be dry as a bone, with rainfall amounts very, very scarce, maybe a tenth or so in some isolated spots as we go through the forecast into Sunday. The good news is the summer looks wetter than normal, and I hope this verifies, because we desperately need it. But right now, the 90-day forecast does have a little bit wetter than normal conditions and slightly warmer than normal on the temperatures. So that would be great if all that verifies. It's going to be hot this week, that's for sure. Temperatures in the 90s, or close to it anyway. 87 on Thursday, the cool day. And then Thursday, or Saturday and Sunday that's when we have the chance of showers and storms come into our picture. And then 93 on Monday, and then more showers and storms possible on Wednesday and Thursday. So it's not a total drought situation this week, but it's certainly going to be dry and very warm.
We might get a few sprinkles, and unfortunately, if that happens, it might be on the weekend.
That's right.
Thanks, Sam. Coming up in sports, the Joplin Outlaws look to snap their 4-game losing streak in Jefferson City tonight. Plus, St. Louis Cardinals had a big day from their offensive, early this afternoon, their offense. Brock's going to have the highlights for us next in sports.
The Joplin Outlaws are in action on the road tonight. After the team got off to a 5-0 start, the Outlaws have lost 8 of their last 9 games. Tonight, the Outlaws are in the Missouri state capital of Jefferson City, taking on the Renegades. At the moment, the game is still in progress in the later innings. The Outlaws got off to an early 4-1 lead, but this game, they currently trail Jeff City 7-4 in the 8th inning. We'll see if Joplin can rally back. Well, the Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals hit the road to start the week. The Cardinals are coming off of a big win. The Royals are coming off, once again, another loss. Cardinals at the Nationals. We picked things up in the third inning. St. Louis down 5-0. Tommy Edman sends this ball to deep center. Victor Robles can't make the play. Edman will race around all the way to third base for an RBI triple. Cardinals get on the board down 5-1. So top of the fifth now. Redbirds down 5-2. Brennan Donovan, see you later. 3-run jack ties the game. It's now 5-5. Next batter, Paul Goldschmidt at the plate. Swing of the drive, you won't see it for long. Kiss this ball goodbye, solo home run. Back-to-back jacks for St. Louis. Cardinals take the lead. They're up 6-5. So we head to the bottom of the ninth now. Jordan Hicks on the mound. How about a 104-mile-per-hour fastball? That's your ball game. Cardinals win it 8-6 over the Nationals. Royals at Tigers in the Motor City. Top of the fourth. We are scoreless here in this game so far until Bobby Witt Jr. puts a tattoo on that baseball. 442 feet. My goodness. 1-0 lead for the Royals. Later in the inning, Michael Garcia kissed that ball goodbye. It's a 2-run home run. Royals go up 3-0. But then here come the Detroit Tigers. Bottom of the seventh, Jake Rogers off the end of the bat. That's a fair ball. Detroit picks up 2 runs off the single, but the Royals are still up by 1. Later in the inning, Kerry Carpenter at the plate for Detroit. He gets a good piece of this one. If it stays fair, it's gone. And unfortunately, with the Royals' bad luck recently, that ball is fair. And it's a 3-run home run for Detroit. Tigers complete the comeback, and they defeat Kansas City 6-4. It's day 4 in the College World Series, and things are heating up in Omaha as we get closer to crowning a champion. First game of the day, Tennessee Volunteers versus the Stanford Cardinals. Stanford was up 4-0 at one point. Tennessee storms all the way back as they defeat Stanford 6-4. Stanford has now been eliminated from the College World Series for their 3rd straight season. Then the nightcap, the #1 overall seed, Wake Forest Demon Deacons taking on the LSU Tigers. Wake Forest comes out victorious in this one, beating LSU 3-2. So now LSU will play Tennessee in an elimination game. Wake Forest is 1 win away from moving on to the College World Series Finals. Last but not least, some of you might remember, former Kansas Jayhawks head coach Larry Brown has agreed to join the coaching staff at the University of Washington in Seattle. Brown won an NCAA title of Kansas in 1988. The Hall of Fame head coach recently was an assistant coach at the University of Memphis for a couple seasons. Brown, who is 82 years old, will be entering his 59th season of coaching at the collegiate or pro level. Back with more news after this.
With summer officially just 2 days away now, Branson hotels and vacation rentals are already seeing an uptick in visitors and vacationers. Reporter Elizabeth Van Mitri reports they say while staffing has improved, especially post-pandemic, it's something they hope will continue so more people return season after season to the tourist mecca.
Hi, how are ya? Good.
It's been a busy weekend.
You guys doing good today? Yeah? Good.
Savannah Snyder is executive housekeeper here at Thousand Hills Resort Hotel. This past weekend, the hotel was booked. The empty shelves showed just how much they need to do to turn over 400 rooms as the next bunch checks in.
Staff to us is our most important, and we would be devastated if we lost them.
Thousand Hills Resort says it's really focused on staff, not only to get them in, but to keep them. There are about 400 positions filled all over Danner Enterprises, which runs this hotel and others. 30 positions are open in total. It's a number the company is really proud of.
Hiring has been a challenge. A couple of years ago, it was more of a challenge than it is recently. We've gotten a lot smarter with how we are recruiting people.
The company has a job center, quick responses, a focus on culture to keep people coming back, and a new program a little more than a year old that helps find a fit for you in the company, even if it's not something you applied for.
You might apply for one position, but during the interview, we might say, hey, we have this other position that might fit you a little better.
Rosebud Hotel owner Mike Patel says he's about 7 staff members short of being fully staffed, better than last season when the hotel was 12 short.
Housekeeping is the mainly, even the front, we have a couple of employees that's doing the doubles and stuff like that. It is still difficult.
He says since it is family owned, it has to lean on family to do some of the jobs at the hotel. His high school sons have a summer job.
They always helps us. They're probably doing their work of 3 or 4 employees by themselves.
Being staffed will change the experience for guests.
When you have the proper amount of staffing, and not just proper, but your employees are happy where they're at, then you see that in guest review. The guest review are up, your scores are up.
Now, housekeeping and laundry are still the most difficult to staff, but companies are using different techniques, like a third-party vendor to fill in some of those vacancies. Hotels are also doing later check-in times, like 4 or 5 o'clock, but allow guests to check out later. Still ahead, the boy with the badge. Some Missouri law officers make his dream come true. The FBI in St. Louis got a new special agent. It's significant because he's a 10-year-old boy with a rare form of brain cancer. Reporter Steve Harris has the heartwarming story.
At FBI headquarters this afternoon, this is the FBI. Things were tense. We need you to come out now. A rare item was stolen. The thief holed up inside this building. They tracked him down, and Junior Special Agent Drew Patchen flushed him out. His team entering the building and apprehending the suspect, who looked a lot like the Hamburglar. But it wasn't all beef patties he'd stolen. It was the Stanley Cup.
As you can see right next to them, they have repatriated the Stanley Cup here.
10-year-old Drew was diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer in 2019 that doctors said was inoperable. But his family found a surgeon in Houston, Texas, who's going to operate. Until then, they're making memories with Drew and his 5-year-old brother, Tyler.
Both of the kids really enjoyed it today.
The FBI stepped up to help.
We're also a member of the surrounding community, and so our employees having an opportunity to sponsor a family in the community in this way and really advocate for them and help them make positive memories while they can is really a special opportunity.
But that wasn't the only surprise.
Drew is interested in challenge coins, which are these hard coins that law enforcement and military give out.
They collected several hundred coins from agencies across the country to give to Drew and his brother.
The things that people are doing for Drew and for Tyler and our family just means so much to us. We, get to look at the positive side of what happens when someone gets cancer.
At the end of the day, Junior Special Agent Patchen got a reward. 2 plates of chocolate chip cookies.
If I eat all of these, it's gonna be 12.
Hey, you can't fight crime on an empty stomach, now can you?
Cookies in the belly and the Hamburglar behind bars. Pretty good day. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of scientists safeguarding 62 sea turtle eggs in Spain's East Mediterranean coast. Let's make it a great tomorrow.